standing. So kick back and listen, it'll make you grin. Every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Yeah, yeah.
Every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is listener emails, stuff from the web, stuff people send me. Basically, I like to include everything you guys like to have out there. This is Pilgrimsgrey Chronicles. I'm your host, Robert Clark. How's everybody doing this evening? I am completely exhausted from a long day at work, and I have a few things to go over. A lot more comments than I realized. I don't know if any of you ever have run a podcast or dealt with YouTube and receiving notifications for comments, but I did not realize that I had so many comments come in. And anyway, it can be kind of frustrating. But so tonight I want to go over some of these comments, but I also want to share with you something I came across written by, because I think this is important, written by Jeremy Stone. For those of you who are not familiar, he is, I believe, still currently doing the By Your Fruits You Shall Know Them podcast. And if not, look for his work on Facebook with that particular podcast, and just do a search because most of what he writes is really, really great. But I wanted to share this one in particular because it was it's a really good written or well written piece dealing with the World Health Organization and a lot of things coming up, because I think we all kind of feel a black swan event's coming, and there's several different directions that it could come from, and I think this is kind of one of them that he brings up. But we'll go over that, save that for dessert, because that's that one's going to be last. But for now, and I do that because, I really want people to hang out to the end, because the more people watch, the more the show goes out, and I want to try to reach a good size audience, because these are important matters. I'm glad that it reaches the people that it does reach, because we have some really great fans who do really great things and send me really neat things and make some really great comments. So let's go over the comments right now. Not all of them are friendly, but that's okay, because I like discussion back and forth. In our most recent episode from Monday is an iron sharpening iron episode, because I listen occasionally to JT's mixtape, because it's got really cool information. Like a show I listened to today had to deal with eating and dieting and fasting and things that are good for your body and aren't. And I think that's really important as Christians to know about. Also, the proper working of your body and what you should eat, when you should eat it, and things of that nature. But for those of you who have listened, we did an episode called Did Jesus Already Return? Debunking the Little Season Doctrine with Scripture, and so on. And I know we've done a little season prior to this one, but it keeps coming up, and new information keeps coming up. Sorry about that. That is my phone going off. I thought I had silenced it, and now I will truly silence this little bugger and make sure that you do not hear that again, because that was kind of annoying. All right, so I wanted to go over a few comments from that, because I had other ones, but these two specifically, I guess because, well, the whole reason I did the show, because I've covered some of this material before, is I just felt like this was coming from a guy that I really like listening to, and I just did not like what I felt like was a passive-aggressive tone to it. And but in addition to that, I just don't feel like it's true. I feel like what's going on with the little season is a strange sort of fulfillment of the scoffing and mocking of the return of Jesus, where they say, I believe it's in Peter, where they say, where's the time of his coming? For all things continue as always from the very beginning, which is an expression of basically what we have expressed in the world today as far as the accepted view to believe and the accepted narrative, which is uniformitarianism or some form of evolution, or we have a multiverse that's been here forever, that whole thing. But this is more of a positive Christian form of I'm tired of waiting. And instead of negatively scoffing, we just simply say, oh, well, he's already come and we just missed it, or it's hidden, or whatever. And I just feel like nothing could be further from the truth, and all the evidence that's being allegedly dug up in regards to buried things and Tartaria and the Byzantine Empire and things of these nature. I mean, they're interesting finds, but I don't think they have anything to do with the Millennial Kingdom. There's never been a 1,000-year period that has had as its primary characteristic peace. We've had the rise of Islam, which is violent and bloody, not to mention war after war after war after. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't even have to say this to fellow Christians, and I don't understand why we're falling for it. But I guess because there are many of us who are fatigued with waiting, and I get the world is evil, but it's going to get worse. So better gird those loins, put on the full armor of God, Ephesians 6. So let's go over this first comment. For some reason, I cannot read this gentleman's name. Well, unless his name is just a dot. Anyway, this person says, all has happened. Nero, Pharaoh, Hitler, a few antichrists. That's part of his list. I don't know why Pharaoh would be a part of that, since that was, not after AD 70 or even during this whole timeline. But anyway, then he says, the mark, tribulation, rapture of the 144,000 saints. Not sure where that comes from, since they're all specific Jewish tribes named. 33% of the earth is burnt up. Ask Google. I did ask Google, actually, and the answer wasn't even close to anything like this at all. Jesus' reign, which I see no evidence of that anywhere, like I just said. We are getting a little time to get it right. Up next, nations will surround Israel. Then, blasting furnace fire comes down from heaven, a new earth, and the dividing. I don't know what the dividing is. But Revelation 20 on, they're unless we're just referencing the Great White Throne Judgment, but that would come before a new earth. So it's an interesting list, and unfortunately, because it's so shortened, this person obviously couldn't take time to defend each point or fully flush it out and explain it. But I think a lot of confusion is going to come when you see some powerful figure that seems Messiah-like taking on the nations that might surround Israel in the near future. And it's probably why he's going to be seen as the Messiah, and a lot of people are going to fall for it. Because it hasn't happened yet. In the Mount of Olives, there's no valley there from when his foot touches it. We didn't lose or have so many humans changed that the Lord shortened those days because otherwise there wouldn't have been any survivors. We have not lost that many humans, folks. There's no record of that anywhere in history. The closest we could say we came would be maybe the plagues of Europe, if we can even trust that historic record on that. So I wrote and responded, if you want to read it, or I can read it to you real quick. I just said that I appreciate the thought, but this list collapses under scrutiny. I said, let's take it apart honestly. 33% of the earth burned up. That's Revelation 8:7. Where is the record of all green grass and a third of the trees on earth being burned? It is not poetic language. It's global environmental devastation. We have seen wildfires, yes, but nothing remotely on that biblical scale. The mark you mentioned, if this already happened, where is the global system where no one can buy or sell unless they have it, from Revelation 13:17? There is no moment in history I can think of that fits that requirement. I mean, we can talk about the ash on the forehead and some of the other things I've heard mentioned, but that's not a global thing. It was just a localized thing. I mean, it doesn't really even fit Nero, Hitler, or even the special events of 2020. In Jesus' reign, the Bible describes his reign as worldwide peace as the primary characteristic. I know every time that is brought up, somebody wants to say, but it's not all peaceful. No, I get it. I get that there are Old Testament verses that describe issues that occur during the millennial reign, but it is, as its primary characteristic, described as a time of great peace where the vast majority of people will not know war and will beat their plows. Well, you get the idea. The lion will lay down with the lamb, and babies will, still be in their hundreds. There's a long list of things that don't add up with this little season, folks. Elongated lifespans for those going into the millennial kingdom. No record of that. Only a record of blood, tears, horror, and so on. I would agree with those of you who think it very strange that we have bizarre architecture that matches all over the globe. I get that, but that doesn't make it the millennial reign. If anything, it sounds like just the architecture that these little g gods like, that are the rebellious sons of God, the B'nai Elohim, who have since the beginning, since their fun at Mount Hermon when they descended and decided they thought the women of the planet were hot and decided they wanted to have children to replace our birth rate, replace humanity, just like they're slowly doing now, both genetically and through transhumanism. They will alter us until we're no longer human and take our birth rate because they want this place for their own. They have since the beginning. And it's been a fight, a seed war ever since. And they're great at deception. So, anyway, I haven't seen anybody living hundreds of years. And what else we got here? The 144,000 mentioned as those raptured, I find that very strange because these are literal descendants from the 12 tribes of Israel sealed for protection during the tribulation, mentioned in Revelation 7. Where's the historical record of that event? There isn't one. Just like there's little to no record whatsoever of anything fitting the criteria of what the Bible describes as the most catastrophic time in the history of the planet, apart from the flood. There should be scars of that, and a few buildings buried here and there from, a attempt by the little g gods to, steal a birthright again, like at Babel or whatever, does not constitute the worst thing ever. So, but anyway, things like global mourning of every tribe when they see him. the physical splitting of the Mount of Olives and a new river flowing out of Jerusalem from Zechariah 14. None of that has happened. And there is no serious historian, archaeologist, or astronomer that has ever documented it. So if you're going to claim prophecy has been fulfilled, then the burden of proof is on the person claiming its fulfillment. It doesn't care about your feelings or headlines or anything like that or allegory. Until those things occur, it's not over. It's still waiting in the wings, folks. And don't see that as depressing. See it as God's love. I mean, what if he had decided to do it before you were born? You know? I mean, he's just patient. He wants the fullness of the Gentiles. He wants his family. He wants his bride. We should be doing all we can to present his love to a world that starts off from a position of not loving him, right? So, anyway, I thought you would find that an interesting comment. And I am trying to get this to cooperate, and it doesn't want to cooperate. Why? Okay, there we go. So the next comment says, and by the way, that was from, I can read it now, from Bonnie Getting... I have no idea how to say the rest of that. Getting Thrummy Day 2860. Anyway, so this comment here is from Thirsty for the Truth, 1164. I really found this one curious and interesting. For 40 plus years, I firmly believed that Jesus would return soon to set up his kingdom. So many false predictions of the soon return of Jesus over the last 150 years by various religions. So many folks losing faith. Now, I am given clear scriptural evidence that Jesus and the apostles did fully expect Jesus' return to happen in some of the apostles' lifetime. So many folks are coming to and back to Christ because of this teaching of the little season. Makes sense to them. What is gained by trying to convince folks that Jesus has not returned? I believe we all still have the blessed hope of what is described in Revelation 21 and 22 still ahead of us. I feel the stress of that, and I get it. But here's what I said in response. I said, "Thank you for sharing that. Your honesty matters, and I understand the frustration. Many of us have felt the weight of delay and disappointment. False predictions have done real damage to people's faith, but here's the thing. False hope doesn't cancel real hope. The mistake wasn't believing Jesus would return. The mistake was setting dates he never gave us. Jesus himself warned that no man knows the day or the hour except for the Father, right? So, yes, people got it wrong, but that doesn't mean the event won't happen. It means we should be more careful how we wait, not whether we wait. You say you now believe Jesus already returned because that feels more grounded. But Scripture gives us clear markers of his return, and they haven't happened. And I listed many of them throughout the video that cannot be explained away or allegorized away. These aren't spiritual metaphors. These are world-altering, observable realities that Jesus and the apostles described in detail. And if they haven't occurred, then his coming has not happened yet. Yes, the apostles expected it could happen in their lifetime because every generation is meant to live as if he could return today, while recognizing God's timing is his alone. That tension is part of our spiritual walk, not a contradiction, but a call to faithfulness. But recall that those closest to the apostles and taught directly by them were waiting and still awaiting this as a future event and not one that had already occurred. And finally, your last question deserves the most important answer, which is where you stated, what is gained by trying to convince folks that Jesus has not returned? Well, everything, because the truth matters. If Jesus hasn't returned yet, then telling people he already did leads them away from the very hope they're meant to cling to. A counterfeit comfort now could cost them readiness later. Or, as I just, well, we don't need reinterpretations to ease the weight. We need endurance, truth, and a firm grip on the real blessed hope, not one we invent to soothe delay. Like I mentioned earlier, the prophecy in Peter. I feel like this is something meant to soothe the delay. Scoffers who don't believe in Jesus anyway would, of course, will say, well, where's the time of his coming? Everything just continues on, like a belief in uniformitarianism or evolution. But it seems like those of us who love Christ and are Christians kind of soothe our disappointment in a different way by saying, oh, well, he's already come and we missed it. But he's coming again to get rid of Satan's little season. I mean, I don't feel the evidence for that is as strong as the major key elements of everything the Lord described as a part of his coming, so we would recognize it. It's like we're ignoring that so that we can feel better. And I don't like that. It's not scriptural and it's not healthy. And actually he responded to this 9 minutes ago, saying, thanks for your reply. I appreciate your comments. I just wish I could have even a shred of confidence that the story of our past since the last book of the Bible was written could be trusted. Well, I feel you there. I know what you mean, because this world is ruled by evil principalities, and we're going to go over that, actually. Starting this weekend, I plan to start covering their operation and how it works, the whole mystery Babylon, mystery religion that's already working and functioning from those principalities we just mentioned, like the spirit being that was behind the Prince of Persia and Tyre, the king of Tyre, and how they operate through their human proxies. And sometimes they just come here and live among us anyway, right? We know at least 200 descended upon Mount Hermon, and we don't know how many have broken ranks since then, do we? So they could be living amongst us, and their offspring could still be living amongst us, or hidden underground, or in the waters, even in the air. We don't fully understand or know what the firmament is, or what's above us, or what stars truly are. I know we have what the people we can't trust tell us all the time, but I don't believe anything they say. I'd rather investigate it for myself and keep asking questions because I'm never satisfied with their answers. Anyway, to continue with the rest of his comment, he says, I can't trust what man says happened on the nightly news, let alone what happened 1,000 years ago. We're in agreement there. I totally get it. All we can do is trust that with the thousands upon thousands of copies that we have of the New Testament writings and writings by the early church fathers that mention all of these writings so much that you could literally put the Bible back together just by them quoting it, that we have what God said he would preserve for us. I personally think it is more like the Ethiopian Bible with First Enoch in it, but that's just me. I also understand why the 3rd and 4th centuries councils would have removed them. Regardless, we have the basic story of the Seed War and why it went down the way it did and what we can expect in the future. And I trust Scripture for good reason. Do I trust what men report? Not necessarily. At least I would hold it under much stronger skepticism, just like what you're saying here. So, a few more comments here. We have a person here who says maybe Tartarian discovered time travel and they were stuck in the loop of time travel. Well, I responded by saying that is certainly one of the more interesting theories I've heard, but I personally do not think that physical time travel is possible. Only a visionary spiritual form is possible. In other words, I don't believe you can go back into the past and actually physically alter anything or change anything or do anything. But the Lord could take you in your spirit and show it to you in visions or scenes that you cannot touch or impact. And he can do the same with the future if he wants. We know this because we've read it. You're reading visions that were given to people that they saw, like John, seeing into the distant future, or Daniel, or Ezekiel, or Isaiah. And then this person says, the lion will lay with the lamb. The lion. You are deceived. I have no idea what to make of that. So I simply just said, explain, please. Because I don't, folks, when you reply, you really got to you have to ask yourself when you're writing what you're writing. Just because you understand what you're writing doesn't mean that everybody else is going to understand the point that you're trying to make. So you need to make better points, or be more concise, or explain yourself. And then I always find it great when people from other countries comment. I'm pretty sure this is Indonesian, and I didn't know what it meant, so I had to look it up. But it was basically, bless you, may Jesus bless you. So I just wrote back in English, thank you, and may Jesus bless you too. And there were several comments like that, people thanking me from foreign countries, which, I'm humbled by that. I think it's fantastic, and I'm so glad to know people from the Southeast Asia or Malaysia area are listening, and some of my favorite people from Australia. I know you're out there and that you listen, and I thank you for that, and I really appreciate it and your support in that way. And then I love regulars like Rebecca, who wrote actually on some of my videos that don't normally get very many views, which is like the Wednesday night and the Friday night ones. Usually it's Monday that hits it out of the ballpark. But anyway, she says, I love the clips that you shared. Your views are so refreshing. Thank you for your wisdom and understanding about what is happening behind the scenes. A sea lion war for sure. Yes, absolutely. There's definitely a sea war going on. And I'm just standing on the shoulders of other people who I've read, like Michael Heiser, the E.W. Bullinger. I just read and share what I've learned from it. And it sounds like a lot of you read too. And feel free to share what you know also. I'm totally open to, comment, share, send me an email. I'd love to hear it. And if any of you want to come on the show, you're welcome to email me and set up a time for it. I'd be happy to interview you. I've got Riverside FM as part of a podcasting thing. I'm still learning about it, so I'm not utilizing it. I'm still using Spreaker for recording, but I do plan to implement Riverside FM in the future, because that will allow me to do screen captures, which I intend to use soon in the future. And then also, I love listening to you read. Thank you, Rebecca. I sometimes can't stand listening to my voice in playback. I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like I've positioned the microphone in just the right way where I feel like my voice sounds better, and then I can listen to the show. But most of the time, I think most people feel that way about their voice. They don't like hearing themselves played back in a recording, whether singing or speaking. Anyway, I really appreciate the encouragement. It's very helpful. Ask anybody who podcasts. Positive feedback really helps you keep going, and it's great, and I really do appreciate it. And because you have to deal with comments like this. I'm not sure what this person's name is. It looks like it says C Babo Babby 192 says, love when people go on the internet and lie to people who don't know any better. I really don't know. I haven't figured out just how to respond to people like this. Most people have learned to ignore it. For some reason, I have difficulty ignoring certain things. Maybe once the show gets big enough and there's so many comments, I have no choice but to ignore, I'll do that. But so I just said, but do you love it as much as I love it when people say things like this with absolutely nothing to back it up? That is my personal favorite. So, and then the final comment before we move on to Jeremy Stone's article I really want to read for you is this interesting comment. I don't understand this view. And I know people who have this kind of view would probably say, well, that's because you're white. Well, I'm not white. I belong to an American Indian tribe, Ojibwa, from northern Michigan. I'm Chippewa, Ojibwa tribe. So my people were treated just as crappily, if not worse, as any of the black people were. And they still are to this day. You know, we basically were rounded up into camps. And, anyway, I don't want to get into all that because every race on this planet, we're all made in God's image, and everybody has suffered under every group, under different circumstances. And it's just pointless to whine about, honestly. Look to God instead. Don't complain. Always turn to God. And then learn to forgive. And learn not to be bitter. And learn not to give into that kind of thing. And instead set your mind on things of good report. So here is the comment. Why do you all keep whitewashing everything? You whitewashed the Bible, and there are no white people in the Bible. And as soon as you all find out about ancient civilization, they automatically have pale skin. Stop it. The concept of white supremacy is straight up wickedness. I'm so glad God allowed Trump to become president. He's exposing everything, all while Africa, the sleeping giant, is awakening with new, young, bold blood. The Beta Israel Jews and the Ethiopian Bible is about to shut this whole world down and reveal who this earth belongs to. And I thank God you all, time is up, Bismillah, whatever. What do you even say to that? I would just say, the Lord rebuke you and open your eyes to better things than this. This is toxic thought process. Here's my full response. I said, thanks for sharing your passion, but let's be clear. Racism is wicked. No matter what skin color it comes from, God made all people in his image. All of them. If there were plaid people, they would be made in his image. And the Bible isn't a whitewashed book. It's a story about the Middle East, North Africa, and spiritual rebellion that spans every tribe and tongue. We've never claimed ancient civilizations were white. In fact, we've exposed how elites in modern history have manipulated historical records, lied about maps, and erased entire peoples, including African and Semitic ones, to serve their globalist narrative. That's not our agenda. And we agree, white supremacy is evil. So is black supremacy. Any form of supremacy that exalts skin color above truth, because at the heart of it all is a seed war, not a skin war. We're not fighting against flesh and blood. The true war is not about race. It's about rebellion versus obedience, fallen sons of God versus the Most High, and deception versus truth. And guess what? Many who call themselves Jews are not, and many who claim to be the church aren't either. If you believe the Ethiopian Bible helps expose the truth, great. I sort of agree with you. We're with you in digging deep, but let's not turn the awakening of Africa into a racial power trip. It's just another trap of the enemy. What God is doing isn't about black or white. It's about faithfulness, repentance, and exposing lies wherever they exist, and loving him because he loved you first. So yes, expose the falsehoods, call out injustice, but don't replace one supremacist narrative with another. That's just another layer of the same old bondage. Stay watchful, humble, and stay focused on the true war and the God that loves you. Not this nonsense, foolishness. Anyway. That is it on the comments. Let us move on to Jeremy because the time is getting late and I got to get up early for work. So Jeremy Stone writing, he prefaces this with, I did not write this to push fear, but to make you aware. and an appropriate wake up. They are telling us what is coming again. So he writes, did you hear about the New World Health Organization's latest quote unquote exercise? It's called Polaris, a massive global simulation involving our 15 countries, hundreds of officials, and a fictional virus called Mammothpox. That's right. It honestly, it sounds like a Trey Parker skit for whatever that cartoon thing he does. But yes, Mammothpox. Oh, well, he even says it. You read that right. A virus allegedly thawed out of ancient permafrost thanks to climate change. Gosh, this is like next level cheese on the part of these people. It's like mockery of our senses, like an insult to our intelligence. Anyway, yeah, climate change. You know, the main boogeyman, the WEF and Club of Rome technocrats, psychopaths continue to push simply for world domination and the implementation of totalitarianism. Funny, remember the articles they pushed last year or two about this exact thing? How they found ancient viruses alive in the permafrost of Siberia and Antarctica? Why not weaponize it if you're a satanic psychopath looking to depopulate and control the world through this ancient pathogen and vaccines? So this virus was designed to resemble real-world pathogens like smallpox and mpox, with moderate transmissibility and significant lethality. The scenario posited that the virus emerged from thawing Arctic permafrost, where scientists unearthed preserved woolly mammoth remains, leading to the inadvertent release of the ancient pathogen. Oops. I added the oops. This was a real event, just like Event 201, the exercise they did with the COVID simulation in 2019, which they then released 3 months later. Do you remember that? I do. Yes, Jeremy, I remember it. So in Polaris, they gathered to test lockdowns, vaccines, emergency powers. Of course, emergency powers. That should be capitalized all there. And international coordination. They will also tackle misinformation, of course, and misleading information. That's their favorite. That's to get rid of, the number one thingy in the Constitution. Sound familiar? Like deja vu from 2020. Just wait. They're already planting the seeds for the next inevitable pandemic. And again, the script is written. The actors are trained, and the ending controlled. Why simulate something this detailed unless they expect or intend for it to happen? Event 201 happened exactly as they planned. Yeah, I completely agree with this so far, and did earlier when I read it. Anyway, Bill Gates was the primary donor, just like with the Event 201. And guess what else? Donald Trump pulled out the WHO just to privatize this crap. Remember when he had a 3-hour sit-down with Bill Gates to talk about COVID and how Bill Gates was so impressed with how Trump handled it and discussed how they could do something similar with something else in the future. Yeah. Wake up. I've been screaming that Trump isn't on your side. He isn't against these guys. He is working with them. I can guarantee that the main goal of this nonsense is to get the pandemic treaty passed. I'll have to make another post about how insane that is another time. Let's just say it doesn't pass the first time, but it almost did, and that's the greatest threat to the world, any nation concerning sovereignty. Any sovereignty would be completely gone over all of the nations. Although, in my opinion, sovereignty is an illusion. Yeah, I would agree. Just ask the Committee of 300 or the Black Nobility. They'll tell you the same thing, right? But here's the truth. They can't simulate or suppress. Our hope is not in governments. Our safety is not in vaccines. Our peace is not in global organizations. Our only true refuge is in Jesus Christ. Well, amen to that. The world is preparing for chaos. We must prepare our hearts for eternity. Don't be distracted. Don't be deceived. Signs are all around us. Do not be afraid. Just be aware. Revelation told us this type of stuff was to come. Never forget that. Stay alert. Stay grounded. Stay in the Word. Jeremy Stone. Very well written. And if I recall, somebody in the comments said something about being fearful, if I recall. See if I can. Well, I guess I can't find it. Padiddle. Maybe it is because I don't have all comments selected. Nay, that is not it either. Well, let me try this then. Kaboom. Well, now I see my replies, but I don't see the reply I wanted to respond to. Amy Atkins. I don't want it activated. I am terrified. Now, the reason she is saying that is because I made a comment on Jeremy's post where I said it sounds like a clever smokescreen for the activation of the 2020 goodies, if you get what I mean. We all know what happened in that year, and I believe that this Mammothpox and any other pox or whatever is just them activating what they put into people in 2020. And while I would just say to you, Amy, we're not given a spirit of fear. Don't be terrified and don't be fearful. Just see this as a situation that the Lord would want you to pray about and realize your power lies in prayer and God. Because when you pray to Him, He's the creator of everything in this universe. So nothing is going to pass through His hands and reach you that He isn't aware of, especially if you're praying and doing Ephesians 6, so that you're aware of the fact that you're an ambassador of His here for a purpose, and nothing can touch you till His purpose has been fulfilled in you as an obedient ambassador and child of His who loves Him because He loved you first, right? So don't be fearful or terrified. What's the worst thing that could happen? You die and then you're with Him, right? So I would encourage you to remember that the Lord repeatedly tells us to not be afraid. He knows that we'll feel the feelings of fear, but don't let it, and I'm not saying you would, I'm just saying don't let it paralyze you. Take action, pray, be watchful, love God and love the people He's put in your life, and act accordingly. So that is tonight's episode. I can't believe it is Wednesday already. We just got 2 more days, people, and then it's the weekend. And I will play you out. Everybody have a great, great week. See ya.
It's time for listener emails, comments, and stuff they send in. So kick back and listen, it'll make you grin. Every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, yeah. Central Standard Time, yeah. Central Standard Time, yeah. It's time for listener emails, comments, and stuff they send in.